Bought woman. The mountains and rivers are beautiful, the fields are beautiful. And the original natural and beautiful pastoral scenery is a group. But the primitive is also synonymous with feudal backwardness. At noon, the vicious sun bakes this small mountain village. With the heat of roasting pork, and the people in the fields put down their tools, drink tea under the trees, and talk about the latest events in the village. At the entrance of the village, a small figure looked in the direction of the outside of the village. Waiting anxiously in his heart, his swarthy hands wiped away the sweat again and again. And he didn't care about the poisonous and spicy ultraviolet rays that tanned his dark face like roasted pigskin, and stretched his neck to look into the distance. After a long time, until a familiar figure appeared in the distance, the little man couldn't help but run wildly, and after running less than 10 meters, he fell limply on the side of the road. The gentle hand wiped the hot body over and over again. And the mouth couldn't help but overflow with comfort, and he muttered, "Well, mother." Then he fell asleep again. Even if the noise outside is rampant, it can't wake up the people who fall asleep with peace of mind. "Afu, it looks like you've really picked up a treasure." It was a strong but ugly-looking middle-aged man who spoke. He glanced at the gentle woman in the room, who was carefully taking care of Leifu's 6-year-old daughter Mung-Bean, and said in a loud voice, "I thought I needed to lend you my brother's secret weapon, but it seems to be free." I said, "Afu, you have to thank me for this. If I hadn't persuaded you to find a mother for Mung-Bean, would you have such good luck?" "Yes. Or I'll trade my tigress for you." He looked at Rifle with a bad face. No, Leifu said no, looked at the women in the house, and said sincerely, "I said Lao Nu, I really thank you for this. If you didn't help me contact and lend me money, I would be so good. Don't mention the change. You also know that I bought a wife, and came back mainly for the little Mung-Bean, and your family will. I'll treat you to a drink another day." Leifu's wife, the little Mung-Bean and her mother, was suddenly ill a year ago. The child without a mother is like a root grass. The 8-year-old Mung-Bean grows like a root bean sprout, thin and black. Like a 5 or 6-year-old child, Leifu is usually busy, and can't take care of the child, and wants to find a stepmother for the Mung-Bean, but the village is originally a girl. And the people from other villages also think that the village is too remote, and the Leifu family is too poor. The family is surrounded by 4 walls, and there is a drag oil bottle. No one is willing to marry and suffer. After the old cow next door kept pestering and persuading, Leifu finally couldn't screw it and decided to buy a wife. Early this morning, he went to the kidnapper king in the next village to see the goods. A few women who were tied up looked at him hatefully. Once he wanted to say forget it, just live his own life, why hurt others? But until he saw her, the only woman who was not tied up and sat quietly in the corner. The kidnapper said, that was willingly abducted and died of her husband. But because the condition for the woman to marry was to marry with her ex-husband's urn, so it has not been bought. If it is acceptable, it is sold at a discount. Yaifu bought it without hesitation, and was still a little annoyed, but later saw that the woman took care of the little Mung-Bean with heat strokes so carefully, and felt that it was worth it. In the village, due to the long-term preference for sons over women, the ratio of men and women is unbalanced, whether it is poor or good. Many have not married wives. I don't know that it is from that family. The village is prevalent to buy a wife. Take the old cow's family as an example. Talent and money are all the same. No one followed in the 40s. Last year happily bought a wife from the abductor king to go home to pass on the ancestry. But the woman was fierce, even to the death did not give the old cow on. In a fit of anger, the old cow found a thick hemp rope, 5 flowers tied up after the heart. Several times almost lost his life. Lao Nu only relented a little, and because of this, his wife has already lost 2 children. And seeing that the people who are about to run to the 5th are gone, there is no one to send them to the end, so they can only be in a hurry. This time, Lao Nu's family has been a woman for another 5 months. And Lao Nu doesn't even have the courage to take a step closer, so he is afraid that something will go wrong again. But the woman kept facing the old cow with a black face, angry that the old cow was on fire. And thought in her heart that when the child went to the ground, he asked the kidnapper to sell the tigress and buy a better education to come back. Mother, see what I caught? Little Mung Bean rushed into the house and handed the little frog in his hand to the stepmother. Add vegetables tonight. The woman took it gently, pinched the Mung Bean's plump face, and smiled with satisfaction, and the little Mung Bean unconsciously followed with a silly smile. Since the stepmother came, the home is no longer so deserted, the house has been repaired, and there are hot meals at night. But the stepmother is very strange, often hiding in the room alone to eat rice. The dishes are eaten by her and her father. The father asked the mother why she didn't eat vegetables. The mother said every time she said that she wanted to raise his father fat before eating. Every time he heard such an answer, his father smiled very satisfied. But the mother's body is relatively thin, and occasionally I see the mother's thin back holding the wooden box and pondering. Mung Bean is so worried that the mother will disappear again. The old cow next door committed suicide by his wife, and threw himself into the cold well water with the child who was about to die. And then the well was sealed, and the old cow shouted that it was the matter of selling his wife, and was heard by the tigress before he died, and said that he had lost a lot. I had to spend money to buy it again. The little figure slipped into the house quietly, and the clothes carefully carried the bird eggs taken from the tree, hoping to surprise the stepmother. But the room was empty, only saw the dilapidated counter with the stepmother's precious wooden box. The air seemed to smell a strange smell, could not resist the temptation of curiosity. Put down the eggs, moved the chair to climb on, stretched out the neck to see. Boom! Even the man fell down with the chair, and his frightened eyes were full of unbelievable fear. What it contained was, that thing was. It turned out to be an unrecognizable human head. White deep bones. The carrion was perfectly scraped and all that was left to the bone. Hypertrophic worms wriggle back and forth in the area where only the flesh remains. A strange stench rushed to the nostrils, disgusting to the extreme. Mung Bean thought of the half bowl of rice that he saw in the corner of his eye when he fell. And suddenly thought of something, and couldn't resist the tumbling stomach. Vomiting nonstop. No, you have to find Daddy. Mung Bean desperately suppressed the nausea, dragged his legs and rushed out the door. But before I got to the door, I was called back. Doorway. A skillful woman was smiling at Mung Bean. But at this moment Mung Bean felt not love, but the real meaning under the gentle eyes. The cry of hunger from the beast to its prey. Ignoring Mung Bean's fear, the woman gently took her little hand and walked into the room. Picked up a chair and sat down. And took out a wooden spoon that was still dripping, conspicuously freshly washed. Mung Bean didn't dare to gasp, and looked straight at the woman's next move. I saw that the stepmother took a spoon to dig out the skull and only left the eyes of the flesh. One was put in the bowl, the other paused, mixed with a fat worm directly into the mouth. Chewing with relish, as if it was the most beautiful food in the world. Vomit. Mung Bean couldn't stop vomiting and was flustered. But his feet couldn't pull like roots, and tears kept falling. What's wrong, baby? The hoarse voice was not as gentle as the stepmother's usual gentleness. Mung Bean raised his head rashly. Where was there any woman in the house? Only a monster with a green face and fangs, skinny as wood. And hands longer than legs, just like the man eating yaksha that the old man of the village said. Holding on to her saliva, yaksha stretched out her grip on the petite Mung Bean, taking away the young life like a broken twig. After a hard day in the field, Rifle Club returned home and didn't see his wife. Nor did he see his daughter at the door to greet him. I felt very strange. I didn't see half a figure in front of the house and behind the house. I stroked my empty stomach, went into the kitchen, and saw the steamer that had been bubbling and opened it. Bang tilde. Lei Fu saw the contents of the pot clearly, and couldn't help but shake his hand. And the lid of the pot fell to the ground with a loud noise. But he didn't care. He looked at the things in the pot in amazement. The irregular meat connected to the bones one by one. And the head connected to the vertebrae was particularly eye-catching. His heart was pounding, and tears were in his eyes. It was his daughter. His daughter was torn open and steamed in the pot. Who was it? Who the hell is it? Rifle thought bitterly. But he didn't expect that the demon had quietly stretched out his grip and was waiting for him. It's not steamed yet. A hoarse voice said. Following the prestige, Rifle saw the demon, a cannibal demon. But he didn't have a chance to make a move, and the next second, the demon pinched his throat and reunited with his daughter in another world. Some people say that Lei Fu found an opportunity to make a fortune in the city. And the whole family went to the city to enjoy happiness. But year after year passed, the Lei Fu family did not return to the village. But someone said, in a distant village, I saw the gentle wife who was carrying a wooden box waiting to be bought. But it was not confirmed, only the old cow was annoyed. Because he married the tigress every time, hate.
If you have similar experience, please comment and let me know your experience.